Are you at that point in your life where you're ready to move out of your family home and downsize into something that you and your wife can retire to and enjoy your senior years? Or are you just at that point where you've got all this stuff in the basement and the attic and in your garage that you want to go through and sort out the stuff you no longer need? My name is Rick Smith, creator of the YouTube channel RS Tech. And in this video, I'll share with you the tips and techniques my wife and I used to downsize from a 3-story 1920-ish house with a basement and a garage and get rid of things that we no longer needed so we could move into our newly designed and built single-level home. We'll talk about things like furnishings, clothing, media, pictures, videos, and all that other stuff, including heirlooms that have been handed down to you over the years. And we'll show you the easy way to decide what you want to keep and then get rid of the rest. So if you're ready to get going, let's get started. The first area we're going to talk about will be home furnishings. This is all your furniture that you have throughout your house. This will probably be your biggest challenge as you go through this downsizing exercise, just because it's harder to find people that want this type of stuff. You also have to remember, like in our case, most of the stuff we had was predominantly from when we got married. So decades ago, we purchased this and we thought it was great stuff, and it probably was back in the day, but now it doesn't necessarily fit in with people's styling. So you have to look at it as used furniture that you're trying to find a good home for. The next thing I would suggest is if you have sets of furniture like living room sets, dining sets, bedroom sets, put together pictures of that furniture in your house as it exists, so people can just see how you used it and how it might fit into their home. The next step is to take individual pictures of the individual pieces of the sets. And I say this because it's hard to understand the condition of furniture and even colors and things of that sort by looking at a big room picture. So if you've got a dining room set, take pictures of the dining room table, the chairs, the buffet that you might have with it in close-up views so people can understand the condition and the wear and tear on them as they're trying to make a decision to purchase that. The next thing you want to do is find online marketing sites where you could post these things for sale. In our case, we use Facebook Marketplace quite a bit. However, I'll qualify that. In Facebook Marketplace, there were several local for sale groups that are posting things in their group that is on Facebook Marketplace. So if you put a Facebook Marketplace post together, it goes out to a bazillion people on Facebook. But if you join these local groups, you can also post your Facebook Marketplace post in their groups. So local people are now getting a close-up look at stuff that's close to them to purchase. So one thing you do if you do a Facebook Marketplace, join local groups that have things for sale, and you'll go a long ways in getting things sold. The next thing I want to say is that when you make these posts, make sure you say for cash. Stay away from having checks and things like that. If you put right up front for sale for cash and the price, people know that they have to bring cash with them when they purchase it. The other thing you should also point out is the buyer will haul away the purchases. You're not a mover, so you don't want to get into the case of somebody, a younger lady showing up for this stuff and expecting you to help carry out a couch and things of that sort. Now, granted, you can help them if you're concerned about a damage to the thing you're selling or your house. For example, in our house, getting stuff out of our bedroom required turning down hallways and going down turnstairs and things of that sort. And I was really concerned about them damaging things in our house as they moved it. So you've got two options. You can move it to the downstairs yourself and they only have to move it outside, or you help them get it down to the main level and then let them move it out and pack it in their truck or van or whatever they have. So a couple things to put in your posts is cash only, and the buyer is the one that has to move the purchased furniture. At that point, price it low. I know you don't want to do that, but what I would suggest is you pick a good, decent price for a suite of furniture like the bedroom set, and then in your description list individual prices for the items like the bed set or the headboard and footboard. Have that one price. Then you've got end tables by the bed, have those a different price. And then you've got your dresser with mirror as a different price. But make sure when you add up all those pieces, it's more than buying it as a set. So that way you encourage them to buy the complete set rather than just taking the end tables or just taking the bed, things like that. I price things usually 10 to 15% higher purchased individually than if you bought it as a complete set. And we ended up selling our bedroom set and our living room set and our dining room set all as a complete set. So keep that in mind. The other option to selling other than on Marketplace, and I didn't mention it, but there's Next Door Neighborhood that's got a Marketplace built in. You can also go skip trying to sell and look to local organizations that need furniture. In our community, obviously you have Salvation Army and Habitat for Humanity. We also had an organization referenced as AFIL, Americans for Independent Living. And this was a veterans organization that was collecting furniture from people that are downsizing for donations only, no cash. And then they would take that furniture and gather it in a location where veterans trying to establish their own homes could come in and purchase or I think in this case, take donated furniture and use it themselves. It's a great organization. We've put a lot of stuff, the stuff we didn't sell, we gave to them. And my mother-in-law did the same thing when she moved. A great organization to help your veterans. And you can get a little tax write-off if you list it as a donation in your state and federal taxes. So if you don't want to go through the effort of selling things, or you're down to things that just aren't selling, call up one of these local organizations, have them come out, they'll pick it up for you. They can give you a document if you want to put in your taxes, and now you've got rid of that stuff. The next area has to do with family heirlooms, legacy items, antiques, and keepsakes that have been passed down throughout the years. We'll take the legacy items first. I'm sure if you're like us, we took a ton of pictures. We even have family photos on the walls, artwork that was done that we felt was special in our lives. We didn't want to get rid of that stuff. We wanted to have it available for our kids. So a slick way of handling that is take those keepsake pieces that you want to have for your kids, take them out of their frames and buy a portfolio case. You can get those on Amazon. I think it's 18 by 24 and 24 by 36 sizes, depending on what artwork you have. And take the artwork or the photos or the images that were in those frames and put them in that portfolio case. You still have the memories and things that you want to keep for your kids, but you don't have the burden of having a bunch of pictures wrapped up in sheets or paper packed away in a closet. Then when the kids get those, if they choose to reframe them and put them up on their walls, they can take them out of the portfolio case and hang them in their family homes. So that way to handle the artwork that you have on the walls. The other area has to do with your kids as they grew up. If you're like us, we had a ton of things that they did at school, little art projects or drawings or writings that they did for a class that you kept. And of course, then there's the awards that they got participating in a sporting event or a band event or a singing event. And then when you get into college, you have diplomas and meeting maybe their wife or their girlfriends, those kind of things you kept so that they could take those things when they have kids and show them what it was like for them growing up. Well, what we did was we created individual totes for each kid that we can put those things in. As you can see from these pictures, it's a great way to take the flat stuff. Now, granted, the big stuff, it's hard to store away, and I have a bigger tote for each kid that has their little things that they had in their bedrooms and stuff like that that they'd want to keep. But we put those all on these shelves here. You can see here's one of our sons, another of our sons, and some of the things that they have that we're going to pass on to them when they're at a point in their lives where they'll have a home and they can store that some stuff themselves. The final thing, and this is the one that you're probably not going to want to hear, but the reality of a lot of the antiques and things that were handed down to you from your parents and your grandparents, not much you can do with those. I did a search on the internet for, I think it was a 8-setting Polish china. And I thought, oh, this has got to be worth something. There's a ton of them out there. And the other sad part of that is if you did find someone outside your area that wanted them, the cost to ship that heavy, fragile, those items would be prohibitive. You probably wouldn't make any money. So as much as I hate to say this, things like china and stemware, glassware, silverware, those kind of things, mantle clocks, things that your parents really cherish that you took off at the time they passed, you're probably just going to have to either donate them or you could try to sell them on Facebook Marketplace. But my guess is, just like your furnishings, it's going to be hard to find buyers for those kind of things. And you'd be well advised to just load them in your car and take them to Goodwill or Salvation Army. You know, I hate to think of that special china being used like that, but it's going to be used rather than sitting in a box in your closet. So if you want to spend time looking for buyers, that's great. But the reality of it is you can move that stuff real quick by donating it to a local cause in your community. The next area I'll talk about are a couple things that we tend to gather and collect very easily, and that's clothing and books. And I group those two together because think of all the books that you've probably read over the years that have ended up on a shelf somewhere in a library or in a bookcase, and they just continue to add on and add on and add on. So now you're faced with dozens of books that you need to get rid of. The other thing are clothes. Our family has a ton of t-shirts and a ton of sweatshirts and outerwear that, because of living in Iowa, that we've accumulated over the years. Boots and gloves and mittens that we've just thrown in closets. Well, when you get time to get rid of that stuff, about the only good option you have here is, again, donating it. Now, books, I would suggest you talk to your local library. A lot of times they have inquiries for books that people no longer need that they use for sale at times to raise money. That's a great place to do that. Places like Goodwill will take books. We have a place in town called Stuff. And I think that's a national chain. Stuff will take books as well. They're a little more picky, but they'll take them and they will sell them on consignment. So you might get a few dollars back from that. But if you're looking for the easy path, take the books that you want to keep and the rest of them donate to your library or Goodwill, and you'll get rid of that problem. As far as clothing, same thing. I don't know of an easy way to get rid of clothing short of giving it to family members, which they probably don't want because they're not you. So take it to Goodwill or someplace, Salvation Army, places that can use the clothing. In Iowa, in November, there's usually coats drives and stocking caps and hat drives to provide people, homeless people and others with warm weather gear that can help them get through the winter. But again, the easiest path for this is to go to Salvation Army or Goodwill, hand them all your old t-shirts, all your old sweatshirts, your old boots and shoes, hats, whatever. And the same thing with books. If you don't want to take them to the library, pull up to the Goodwill, open up your hatch, and just ask them to take all this stuff. Again, if you want to consider some financial recovery from that, the only thing I can suggest is that you list that as an income tax donation. The next area has to do with pictures, albums, videotapes, all the media that you've accumulated over the years, either from your parents and their parents, or just when you're recording and taking pictures of your kids growing up and in their activities. The best solution for this is, first, you want to ask your kids if there's anything they want, but I would even say before you do that, take all those pictures and videotapes, and even if you have albums, take the pictures out, put them in a box or boxes, and find a local business that takes all that and will scan it and put it on electronic thumb drives. Now, it may cost a few dollars to do this, but just think about it. You've gone from 2 or 3 or 4 boxes of stuff that you don't know how to sort out to give to your kids, to throw away, whatever. You can go and have this done. You don't have to do anything. They'll take it all, put it on a thumb drive, and give you a copy of all those pictures that you have for yourself. Then you can either ask them to make you multiple thumb drives, or you can make them yourself, and then you give one to each kid. You don't have to worry about sorting things. Each of them have all that legacy. They can look at it. They don't have to look at it, but it takes up this much space. So it not only saves you, but gives your kids a way to have all those old memories available for their future. The last category, for the lack of knowing where to put this stuff, I call other stuff. And this is the stuff that didn't fit into one of the categories. And this is predominantly things that you might had stored in your garage, like lawnmowers and snow blowers and snow shovels and rakes and regular shovels, some tools, things of that sort, bicycles, deck furniture that you no longer need, golf clubs, space heaters, window air conditioners, all those kind of things that you just can't really, you could try to sell, but you'd be better off trying to find somebody that'd be willing to take them from you. So my first suggestion is talk to your neighbors. They kind of know what you have. They might like to have a new bicycle for their kids, or their lawnmower's falling apart and they could use yours. They got a new patio they just put in, and you could give them a set of tables and chairs for their deck, and they don't have to pay a penny. They'd love to have that. Same thing with window air conditioners, space heaters, all that stuff. Check with your neighbors first. At that point, about all you have left is trash. So how do you get rid of that? Well, there's a few things you can try. First, you can be ambitious, find a pickup or a trailer and load it up yourself and haul it to the landfill, and for a slight fee you can dump there. Or you can go look in your help wanted sections of your newspaper or online and find somebody that will do the you call, will haul, and they'll show up at your house, pick all the stuff up and load it into their vehicle and take it to landfill for you. And they'll, of course, charge you a slight fee for that. The third thing is, maybe you've got some friends that are part of a business that has large dumpsters, and you could talk to them and see if they're willing for you to put some items in there as a way to get rid of it. Doesn't always work, but sometimes you might be lucky enough to find someone that's willing to do that for you. We have a local service station in town who has a metal bin in the back where they put exhausts and metal parts that they no longer need from their car work. And they encourage residents to bring their metal over and put it in that dumpster as well, as the gas station will then take it out to the local metal recycler and turn it in, and they'll get cash for recycling that metal. I've seen washing machines in there. I've seen refrigerators. I've seen old barbecues, bicycles, just about anything you can think of, even window air conditioners. Because there's metal content in there, the recyclers will take that and then get rid of the plastic and the fluids and things that are in there. They do that all, so you don't have to worry about it. So check around your neighborhood for people that have donation dumpsters, if you will, and see if you can put the remaining trash that you have in there. So there you have it, the tips and techniques that my wife and I use to go through our huge old house and downsize to the point where we can live in a single level house with minimal storage. I'll just point out what you're seeing behind me is what we have left in terms of all our stuff. And if you look at this wall over here, that's predominantly things that are going to go to our kids when they have the space to take it. So you can downsize. This is all we have in our basement now. And it was a project to do it. We did it over a span of about 2 or 3 months, but it can be done. And it made the move so much easier having all that stuff gone before we tried to move to our new house. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please comment and ask questions in the comment section. And please, if you would, subscribe to RS Tech ALO. And stay tuned for our next video.